Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Your brother, your friend, Brother Saalakhan, Hajj Mauri Saalakhan, is back with you. Once again, I begin in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. I bear witness that there is nothing worthy of worship except Allah, who is known by many different names in many different cultures around the world. The one Creator who created us all. That there is nothing worthy of worship except Allah and Allah alone. And I bear witness that Muhammad ibn Abdullah is his last divinely sent messenger and the seal of the prophethood. Ameen. This presentation is going to be brief. And subhanallah, as I was just hitting the finish button, I noticed that the chairman of the board of the Aafia Foundation was on with us. He had joined us, Brother Jamal Musa, and he had sent the message, go ahead, encouraging me to go ahead and share what I needed to share. And alhamdulillah, we spoke briefly after I had already signed off. We spoke for a few minutes on the phone. But I'm going to share with you what I was about to share. And I'm glad that I held off on it, because this the subject matter that I was dealing with was very, very important in and of itself, and really doesn't need to be mixed with anything else. And this too is very, very important and doesn't need to be mixed with anything else. And I'm hoping that those of you who are with me now will share both of them with your friends and associates within the Facebook stratosphere and or Facebook land and beyond. You know, I hope that you will carry the message beyond Facebook, because we are living in very challenging times, and we need to unify our resources, our human resources, our material resources, our intellectual and spiritual resources. We need to really hone and unify them as much as we possibly can to meet the challenges of the time. So I hope that you will share both of these presentations with as many people as you possibly can. And as it relates to this appeal that I'm about to make, I hope that you will respond first and foremost yourself, that you will be an example for those that you bring this to the attention of. I begin with this letter that was actually drafted on the 8th of Rabi al-Akhir of the Islamic calendar, 1439 of this Hijri year of ours. And on that note, I want to say that, you know, I'm a Muslim who likes to put emphasis on the Islamic calendar. I'm an American, born Muslim, and as such, I am fully cognizant of and respectful of the calendar framework that we all live in, you know, and the fact that this Gregorian calendar of ours here in the West is the one that is the dominant calendar for much of the world, for most of the world. So, you know, I mean, I accept that as a reality. And so, you know, like everyone else, I recognize the new year yesterday, and I've been wishing my friends and relatives and folks I come in contact with a blessed new year. You know, may their May our collective new year be one of full of blessings and our constructive and positive response to the challenges of our time. But with that said, my emphasis in terms of recognizing New Year's begins with my own Islamic calendar. And so for me, the new year, the most important new year begins on the first day of Muharram. So, with that said, this was drafted on the 8th of Rabi al-Akhir, just a few days ago. And I revealed the contents of it for the first time in a presentation that I delivered in New Jersey, Piscataway, this past weekend. It reads as follows: a matter of great urgency regarding Aafia. Dear brethren in Islam, and to my non-Muslim brethren as well, I pray this letter will find all who read it in good physical and spiritual health. I actually made copies of it that after I delivered it at the masjid, a masjid that has been very close to me and has always had, it's been one of those masajid that's had an open door policy for their brother Saalakhan. Whenever I come through, there's never any problem for me to address the community, to have our table set up, and for brothers and sisters who wish to give to the work that we're doing to be able to do so. May Allah bless them. May Allah protect that community and fortify it and bless it to continue to grow the way that it is. Ameen. It began, dear brethren in Islam, I pray this letter will find all who read it in good physical and spiritual health. I also pray that the message contained herein will find its way into receptive hearts who welcome the invitation and the opportunity for barakah on one of the major issues of the day. I have been engaged in human rights advocacy in America now for over 3 decades, so for about 3 decades of my life. Of all the cases and issues that I have dealt with during this time, no case involving injustice done to an individual has haunted me more than the case of Dr. Aafia Siddiqui. This coming March 2018 will mark 15 years of an ongoing nightmare for Aafia and her family. With that said, I will get right to the point. I am losing my sight. In fact, that's the reason why I have these dark glasses on right now. I needed to be able to read what I'm reading. I know I will not be able to do the type of work that I do much longer, and the way that I do it, the way that I've been doing it for all of these years. While I will remain close to this work for as long as I have breath in my body and reasonably good health, I will not be able to drive throughout the country in the manner that I have for so many years, engaged in human rights education and direct action advocacy. Before I turn the reins of this truly unique and much needed human rights organization, the Aafia Foundation, over to my successor, I would like to accomplish 3 very important things. Number 1, a well-done documentary on the life and plight of Dr. Aafia Siddiqui, which prayerfully will pave the way for her freedom. I've seen, parenthetically here, I've seen the power of documentaries, what they're able to do in terms of raising the awareness and the consciousness of mass numbers of people and really generate the kind of pressure that's needed in order to right terrible wrongs. And so this is number 1, to be able to, see a well-done documentary on the life of our sister, Dr. Aafia Siddiqui, produced inshallah ta'ala, under the auspices of the Aafia Foundation. Secondly, an Islamically based human rights training program with a special focus on preparing youth to meet the challenges of our time. And this second objective is also very, very important. I don't know how many of you have gone to our admittedly limited website, the aafia.org. But if you go there, you will see what our mission statement reads in terms of things that we have put before ourselves as the goals, the objectives of our organization's work. And we also have, along with that mission statement, the basically the roadmap of how we are planning to carry this out. And unfortunately, we have not been able to implement much of that mission statement because of, not having adequate resource on hand. I mean, we have some wonderful ideas. And not just me. We have other members of this organization have wonderful ideas. And, there's so much we could do if we had the adequate resource on hand to do it with. But because of the nature of our organization, the fact that we deal in the kinds of issues that many other organizations shy away from. And I understand the intimidation factor. It's sometimes, in fact, not sometimes, it's often very hard for us to generate the kind of financial support we need to really carry it out completely. And one of those items that's been on our agenda, one of the things that we want to do is to put in place a training program for youth with an emphasis on Muslim youth, training them in the kind of human rights work that we've been doing by the grace of Allah, so that we can multiply ourselves, and through them multiply ourselves even more, to be able to meet these very onerous human rights challenges of our time. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is the establishment of a prison ministry under the auspices of the Aafia Foundation, whose primary focus, not exclusive focus, but the primary focus, will be on providing Muslim prisoners with the kind of support they so desperately need. Our brothers and some of our sisters who are being set up, who are being preyed upon, and basically set up to face these trials in which the outcome is almost preordained. They're going to be found guilty, and then they're going to have the book thrown at them for what amounts to, according to the government, if we take the government's claim on face value, their claims, their indictments on face value, if we accept what the government says, what amounts to aspirational offenses. Aspirational offenses that often come through the agency of a government-paid informant/agent provocateur. Had two of them just recently operating out of two of the largest centers in the Washington, D.C. area, in Northern Virginia, the Adams Center and Darul Hijra, that set up this naive 30-some-year-old former police officer, the first former police officer, the first law enforcement officer, Muslim, who embraced Islam, wasn't really deeply connected to his deen, wasn't really practicing as he should, didn't really have the depth of understanding that he needed to avoid this trap, but was put into a trap by someone he considered his brother in Islam and a friend. SubhanAllah. COINTELPRO, 2017, 2015, 16, 17. Subhanallah. And, these two individuals, they operated out of two of the largest centers in the Washington, D.C. area. And so we need to be able to train our young Muslims to avoid these traps and show them how they can do things very effectively, without putting themselves, their families, and their communities at risk, without opening the door even wider for the kind of manipulations that we're seeing within the Muslim community these days in the name of national security. Subhanallah. So I would like to be able to see these three things firmly established within the organization before I step down from the leadership. Beyond this, I would like to pass on to my successor a financially strong organization, well positioned to meet the mounting challenges of our time. And then I end this with a request, with an appeal. Will you please help with a generous contribution today? Not tomorrow, not one day in the near future, but today. Those in a position to give today. And I say to my Muslim brethren all the time, this is one of the most meritorious forms of zakat or sadaqah we can give. It is one of the most meritorious. It is the type of zakat and sadaqah that brings us closer to Allah. And then I end this by saying, may Allah abundantly bless all who respond positively to this urgent and much needed call. Now, since I wrote this and began distributing this in New Jersey, at that center in central Jersey, on my way back, as I was driving back down the highway, I ended up drafting this at a rest stop on the New Jersey Turnpike and sending it out. I sent this out late last night. Must have been after midnight. And I just titled this a challenge and an appeal. In fact, that's what I decided to title this presentation that we're delivering. A challenge and an appeal. Subhanallah, what did I just do? What did I do? There we go. All right. I wrote late last night, it was my intent to do the final New Year's related presentation earlier in the afternoon. But instead I decided to take a drive down the highway for a one-on-one meeting with an imam who leads a community that has been very supportive of our work over the years. Now, this is a different masjid than the one in Piscataway. This one is in Patterson. And this is another masjid, alhamdulillah, with an imam and with many brothers and a few sisters that have been very, very consistently supportive of their brother Saalakhan over the years. I made a trip down the highway just to be able to talk to this imam and to talk with the community, to the brothers who were there for the salat and sisters who were there for the salat. And then, like I said, on my way back, driving down, I just drove up and then I was coming back. It was late. I pulled into a rest stop and I decided I would just, before taking a nap in my car, I would draft this and send it off. The second paragraph goes, as I head back south toward home, it occurred to me, by the grace of Allah, that there is a way to make it easier for folk of modest means. I know that's most of you out there. Folk of modest means, to support our work in a very significant way. Those who truly, truly value our work and want to support us. The Aafia Foundation we want to begin, and in fact with this we have officially begun, a $1 a day support committee. I don't know if we have anyone that's joined this support committee as of yet, but blessed are those who forge first to lead the way for others, as the old saying goes. A $1 a day support committee. We'd like to have all of you who are with us right now, and those of you who will see this video later on, we'd like to have you an active part of this support committee. $1 a day. This could be a tremendous asset to our organization's work. If enough supporters are willing to join the campaign for less than the cost of a cup of coffee a day. $1 a day means you make a contribution of $31 for the month of January. There are 31 days in January, 28 days in February, and so a $28 contribution, in the first week of February, $31 for March, $30 for April, and on and on. $1 a day. And if we can have enough people, enough supporters, enough friends giving this amount at the beginning of each month, the first week of each month, it would cumulatively afford the Aafia Foundation with enough working capital each month to make a real difference on the human rights front. We would provide our $1 a day supporters with a quarterly statement on the Aafia Foundation's work, so that you would be able to keep up with how your support is being leveraged. And with that, if you are willing to become a supporter of this call, then please, we need to hear from you. We need for you to go to our website, aafia.org, and make your contribution for this month. Don't stop there. Spread the word to family and friends, people that you know, that you see them as being good-hearted folk who like to support real substantive causes that can really help make a difference. Spreading the word and encouraging folk. And the best way to encourage folk is to let them know, I've already done it. I've joined this $1 a day committee for the Aafia Foundation. I've already made my pledge, and inshallah ta'ala, I'm pledging to do this for a year. In fact, that's the request. We're requesting people to make a 1-year commitment, and then after this first year, you can make an assessment after the first year of how things have gone, and if you are really, really as excited about how your support has been leveraged as I believe you will be, then you can continue it. And again, this is $1 a day. That's less than a cup of coffee a day. Most of us, I know all of us can't afford it. I mean, some of us are in real destitute situations, and may Allah Ta'ala bless us to come out of this kind of oppression. That is a form of oppression. But most of us can afford something like this. Just need to be willing to make that level of commitment. Just think, if we could have 100 people, at least 100 people each month, giving whatever the amount of days there are in that month in a contribution at the beginning of the month. it would be such a weight off the shoulders of your brother Saalakhan and, the other committed members of this very important human rights organization. Brothers and sisters, when I pass the baton of leadership off, I really want our organization to be in a very strong and vibrant position, much stronger than what it is right now. I mean, that would really make me feel good to be able to do that. And I'm going to continue to do the human rights work that I feel Allah has called me to do. I just will not be doing it as the Director of Operations for the Aafia Foundation. I will be doing it in some other capacity, but I'm going to stay connected to this work, like I said, as long as I have breath in my body and relatively good health. I'm just not going to allow this challenge with my vision to stop me from doing, from fulfilling the passion of my heart. This is something that I feel that Allah Ta'ala put me here to do, and I'm going to continue to do it, inshallah. So with that, I thank you for those of you who were with me for the earlier presentation and you came back and you rejoined with us again. May Allah Ta'ala bless you for giving us your precious time, and may Allah bless and preserve the work of this organization and every other organization out there on the block doing, sincere work of good, trying to improve life for us all. We need as many people of goodwill and organizations of goodwill out there operating on the block as we can possibly muster. In fact, that will be the final bit of nasiha that I will give, along with the other points that I gave earlier, and that is, again, I say to my Muslim brethren that if you are not, and not just to my Muslim brethren, I say this to us all, but I begin with my Muslim brethren, and then I go from my Muslim brethren to my African American brethren, and then to all the rest of us. If we are not, in this day and time, if we are not connected in some way to a human rights organization or to a civil rights organization or to a civil liberties organization that we trust, that we have confidence in, if we are not supporting an organization of this nature, and I personally emphasize human rights. I emphasize this because the issues that we're dealing with, they trump civil rights. They really do trump civil rights. This is a much bigger challenge that we're faced with, and it's a much bigger demand that we must make. And this, emphasizing human rights, it takes it out of the hands of those who feel they're in a position of authority to either grant or to take away. No, there are human rights that Allah gives us all at the time of our birth, that each and every one of us are entitled to by nature from the Creator who created us, that no one can take or give except the Creator. So this is where we put our emphasis. But if you're not supporting an organization that is out there doing something, in a very substantive way against this tide of oppression that seems to be getting stronger and stronger, then we are really doing ourselves first and foremost an injustice. And we're doing, our society, our community, We're doing it a terrible, terrible injustice if we are not connected in some kind of way, in a substantive way. If we're not actually involved in an organization, then at least we can be given support to an organization that we feel confident in. And so that's my last bit of nasiha, that we have to be connected, we have to give, we have to be supportive of those individuals and organizations that are out there making, or at least trying to make, a difference. So with that said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us and preserve us in all of our endeavors of good. May Allah bless us to be agents for positive change wherever we are. Wherever we are. May Allah bless us to be agents for positive change. And may Allah Ta'ala, those of us who have been fortunate, who have been blessed to be guided to Islam, may Allah bless us to die not except in a state of Islam. So with that said, may Allah bless you and preserve you and all of us. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum.